What's going on, everyone? Justin again. As always, thanks for watching my channel. Today was Irish Pub Wednesday. Tomorrow being Thursday, we're going to step into today's topic, and it's going to be called Flat Rate is So Dead. Old guys, get over it already. Okay, we're going to step on into this. We're going to talk about a few different pay scales that are out there for mechanics and why you should pick one over the other and why flat rate's pretty much dead. Let's talk about it. Alright, so first up, you got your salary guys, right? These guys are not going to be starting mechanics or technicians. I can guarantee you that. The guys that are usually offered a salaried position are usually shop foremen or shop foremen and managers. They're usually the ones that are actually guaranteed a salaried position where they have a set pay that does go up annually. Okay, so let's push salary out of the equation for a minute. You're never going to get it as a beginning, intermediate, or even an advanced mechanic or technician. It's going to be more towards the guys that are of the higher echelon, if you will. Let's get into the hourly, because I know you guys are wondering about hourly pay. Hourly pay is going to come down to your entry-level lube techs or starting level 0 techs at a dealership. Example would be Chrysler, Ford, etc. Okay, you guys are going to start off at an hourly wage until they can figure out what you can and can't do, get used to the product line, get you familiar with the product line, and see how you cruise along. Are you slow? Are you like high speed, low drag, like you're eager to learn but you can't do shit in a fast and timely manner to save your ass? It's pretty much what I mean by high speed, low drag. Those guys literally going to get paid hourly. Lube tech jobs, Jiffy Lube, even Sears Auto Center with their weird and screwed up pay scale, even possibly Midas or Walmart, you could just assure that you're going to get paid hourly. And the hourly wages are not very good. Let's go back 8 years ago when Eric the Car Guy did a video talking about the flat rate system back in 2012, and I'll post his video link down in the description, as well the link to his channel down in the description for you. I will tell you this much, look, when I started off in every position, whether it be at Sears Auto Center or Ford or Chrysler or even going into the independent shop, I always started off at an hourly rate, and that hourly rate usually stemmed or started at around the $8 to $10 range. Not too much has changed over the years as far as starting hourly wages is concerned, so do I think it is still a good idea to be hourly? No, but it is a starting point for a lot of you getting into the automotive industry, wanting to be mechanics or technicians and getting your certifications, whether it be from a dealership or through ASE. You're gonna have to eventually jump over this hourly hurdle, because I know you're like, I need flat rate. That's what everyone says. We're gonna go flat rate. We're gonna cover flat rate in a minute. But hourly is also not the best pay scale. It's great when you're starting out, but it is not the best pay scale for mechanics. I'll give you a for instance here. January 1st, 2020. Average minimum wage, California, $13 an hour. Now that's if you have 25 or more employees at that one establishment. If you have less than that, it solely depends on that independent business owner or that establishment to determine what your starting pay scale will be. It could be 50 cents less, it could be a couple of dollars less, but you're not going to get $13 an hour. If you worked at an establishment, for instance, in the retail or fast food industry, which we've talked about before in the past as well, and they have more than 25 employees, you're pretty much guaranteed that $13 an hour. Okay, let's step one step further into California, and we're going to cover some other areas, and I want you guys to put your comments down below if you disagree or if your state does not abide by this. But the Union of Automotive Mechanics and Technicians worldwide, as far as I know, and in various states, have approved the fact that if you work in a selected state, you would get paid if you were required to provide your own tools to that establishment to work on cars. You were offered twice minimum wage. That does not actually take place for the independent world. That's only by dealer, some major corporation, where you're going to expect to see at least 25 or more employees at that establishment. You're not going to be guaranteed twice minimum wage. If that be the case, the minimum wage for any automotive mechanic or technician here in California would be $26 an hour. And I can tell you this much, that is not the case at the independent shop. That's not the case at a lube tire shop. You're not going to get that. So just wipe it out of your mind. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about what current wages are for mechanics and technicians and why flat rate is dead. Let's rewind the clock back to the 80s or even the 90s or even the beginning of the 2000s. Who really benefits more from flat rate? Okay, so long ago, if you were part of the flat rate scale, let's say they paid you $26 an hour and you got a lot of these jobs done and you were able to bank 40 to 60 hours in a work week, you could beat the amount of time that you were actually physically there, and you could actually take time off at the end of the week if you wanted to, and it would never affect your pay scale. Because whatever hours that you were flagging, your flag rate or your flat rate, okay, if an oil change at that point in time called for 1 hour, it then dropped to a half an hour, it then dropped again to 0.3. At this point, oil changes are damn near free at the dealership level, so kind of hard to add those into the mix. A PDI can pay you either an hour and a half, or 2 hours depending on the vehicle size. So you can boost your hours with PDIs, fresh car, pre-delivery inspections, in case you guys didn't know what a PDI was. Those things can boost your hours. Used car inspections and used car repairs will also boost your hours. You bring in a used car, you're going to get almost 2 hours for it as it is, plus repairs. You could make 10 hours off that car in less than 4 if the time dictated it, okay? If the dealership was willing to actually let you do the repair, you could. Brakes, tires, oil change, transmission fluid and filter, etc. If there was a leak from a water pump, they allowed you to fix it, things like that. They're not going to give you the flushes. They might give you a rotation here and there, which you can rotate, balance, do the alignment check, and get paid a little bit extra, but it's not the be-all, end-all. But those are the things that you focused on as a dealer tech on a flat rate scale. You were focusing on your flushes with customers that came in. With used cars, you were focused on tires and brakes and leaks. That was what you did, okay? Air conditioning. Was it blowing cold? Heating. Is it blowing hot? Those are the things that you would pay attention for a used car. And now we get further into the 2020 realm. I could tell you that not just from a dealership standpoint, but from an independent standpoint, that the hours, the warranty hours, the book hours through All Data, through Mitchell, through your dealership are going to be significantly less, because they don't want to pay you extra hours for something they feel that can be done in a faster time frame. They'll figure out how to cut labor to maximize their profit on parts, and that makes it okay. So now let's come back to flat rate again. So let's say now what you used to be able to clock 40 to 60 hours of, now you're lucky if you can clock 20, and you're doing the same amount of work, the same amount of jobs, the same amount of repairs, and the same types of repairs, but the hours have changed. Why? Because that is how the scale has gone. Okay, it was up here, now it's gone down. The way that they depict the hours that it takes to do a job have significantly dropped over the years, and they're only going to minimize. They're not going to pay you buku hours for this. So now let's take it back to this. If you are solely on flat rate and you work and you provide them with 30 hours of work, but you probably spent 60 on it in a little over a week of trying to produce those 30 hours, you're still only getting paid for 30. Now let's go 2 weeks. 2 weeks into it, maybe you're doing some heavy line jobs too, maybe you're circuit chasing, maybe you're doing some gravy here and there, and you average out about 50 hours in an 80-hour week, where that 50 hours used to be 110 or 120 hours. Now you're only getting 50. Let's say you're getting paid that 26. You deduct the math. Now you're making about $11 or $12 an hour. So flat rate system is dead. That is not the way to get paid as a mechanic or technician, in my opinion. Salary is meant for the bigger guys that get offered a nice cushy amount where it's kind of in between what they would usually flag and what their best day was, and whatever. That salary would be worth it for them, but not for you as starting techs. Hourly is a good idea to start off with to get your foot in the door, but it's not where you want to be. In my experience, the best way to get paid, and I think even the Flat Rate Master had quoted it, you are getting an hourly subsidized amount with a guarantee. And that hybrid system, which Rustbelt Mechanic has talked about, is called hourly plus commission. I think this is probably the most practical, the most beneficial pay scale for mechanics in 2020, because you're not rushing to get the job done and fly it out the door with having mistakes, but you don't have enough sugar room to actually kick your feet around and be nonchalant and not care about it. You have an incentive bonus towards the end. I feel like you got your hourly straight. You already know what you're going to get. If you have a worst week ever and you make only like 10 to 20 hours, you already know what you're going to get, which takes care of your bills, which takes care of your needs, and maybe it even takes care of your wants. But if you get that bonus factor, which allows you a little bit more wiggle room to pay off your tool debt, to pay off other debts, to do improvements to your home, to invest, whatever the case may be, I feel like that has to be in play, because it gives the technician or the mechanic a little bit incentive to work a little bit harder, a little bit faster, stay a little bit more organized, maybe take more photos, videos, etc. to make sure that he can get the job done in a timely manner. I believe that is probably the best pay scale that any mechanic could possibly be given and be in that situation to receive, because you're not going to be trying to figure out how to calculate hours. Let's go back to this calculation of hours. A lot of guys get very upset. In fact, I was talking to a guy today at work, and I was making the joke that he was on the gravy train, because I'm stuck with all the heavy line stuff. That's my job, okay? And it's not always a fun and pleasant job. We're going to talk about both. But he's doing shocks, struts, diff fluid flushes, this, that, and the other. And I was like, hey, man, does it taste like that dark gravy where it's like a bittersweet, or is it that nice, goldeny, just absolutely sweet, easy flowing gravy that everyone loves to have on their turkey? He's like, you can tell that he wasn't too thrilled about my commentary about it. He goes, well, you know what? I've got to do 15 jobs to equal the same amount of time it takes you to do one. He wasn't wrong, but where my frustration comes into play is for that one job that maybe pays 10 or 15 hours to do, I'm on a 1 to 3 day standby, either waiting for the cylinder heads to be machined, new ones to come in, gaskets, etc. If I thought I was organized, maybe I forgot about a couple of things, could have been a few days, and I jumped around from job to job to try to figure out other stuff, or I already started on another heavy line job, trying to remember what happened to the last heavy line job. It can be frustrating, it can be daunting, and then especially if you're doing it all the time, it can be extremely just melatonin, just like, oh my God, let it stop already. Like, give me a break, give me something that's cushiony, and then let me come back to it, because it can just get daunting over time. So I understand his frustration with having to do 15 jobs to equal the same amount of time it takes me to do one job, and he might have to work 2 or 3 days to get those hours that it took me to do in 1 or 2 days, depending on what job I'm actually doing. So I understand his frustration, but it's equally as frustrating at my level. Let's take it one step further with this flat rate scale. Who really benefits most from the flat rate system? The dealer tech makes the most sense when it comes to flat rate, because you're working at the same exact manufactured plant with the same exact 6 or 7 cars that you're used to seeing all the time. Maybe you already have a history with some of the older ones they used to have. You have access to special tools. You have access to service information. You don't have to pay for extra software subscriptions or anything like that. You got the software for the VC iPod or the VTech iPod. You already have all the stuff that you need at your disposal to do your job and do it efficiently, effectively, and in an extremely timely manner. When you're at the independent world, you have to buy a lot of aftermarket special tools. You have to buy special retainers, alignment tools, camshaft alignment tools, crankshaft holders. You got timing guides, you got all different types of stuff that you're dealing with just in the engine compartment alone, let alone special tools to remove axles, to take apart differentials if that's what you do, to remove special bolts and things like that. Like, you have a plethora of stuff that you're going to go through, and furthermore, you're working on every single manufactured platform. You're not working just with one manufacturer specifically with a couple of oddball used cars you've never seen. You are only geared to whatever it is that you previously had experience on, so you have a lot of first times. First time you saw that 96 Tacoma. First time you saw that 2003 Tacoma. They're not the exact same. They're not built the exact same. The engine size is different. How the vacuum lines are routed are different. You might even get one that's a 1967 El Camino. Next thing you know, you're trying to have to figure out timing, how to jump wires, flash codes, carburetor adjustment. Then you got the fuel injection systems that people want to put in. There's a whole bunch of stuff that gets involved when you're at the independent shop. When you're at a dealership, it's whatever, it's OEM. And I've always made the joke in the comment that it's OEM or nothing, right? Because it makes it to where it's that much faster. But you're turning rotors, you're turning flywheels, you're changing from a dual mass flywheel to a single mass flywheel. When it starts chattering or making noise, you take it apart, you try to figure out what the noise is, you change out throw-out bearings left and right, you got that transmission out 2 or 3 times. It is an absolute nightmare at the independent shop because you're trying to make things work with the parts that either people provide you or failed parts that you got through the aftermarket world. Whereas at the dealership, usually whatever you get is what you get, and it works, and it's very seldom that you have a failed component right out the get-go. So, who benefits more from flat rate or flag rate? Definitely the dealer tech. Who does not? The independent shop guy, the independent shop mechanic, technician, diagnostician, etc. You can agree to disagree with me all you want. You can put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear your response to this. But I will tell you the best pay scale for most mechanics, be it dealership or independent shop, is going to be the hybrid system, where it is an hourly plus commission. I think that is the most effective pay scale out there because you're not rushing your tech, but at the same time, you're giving him an incentive to do better and be faster. That's all I got for this video, guys. Please leave it down in the comments. Agree to disagree. Cheers to those of you that have your beers. We'll see you next time. Doses.